Hey guys, this is Vlad from Ausgeknipst, and in this quick video I am going to show you all the main differences between the Canon A series cameras. So if you're on the hunt, for example, for a AE-1 and you're not sure how it compares to all those very similar looking cameras like the AT-1, the AL-1, the AV-1 and the black A1, stay tuned. Basically, it's not very hard. Those cameras are all very similar and they all take the same Canon FD mount lenses, either the new NFD ones, which you can see are all black like this one and have this silver unlock button, or the older breech lock mount Canon FD SC and SSC lenses, which have this twist lock. So, cameras mainly differentiate by the modes the shutter modes they can use. And this also why some are more affordable and some are more expensive, like the A1. Let me start with the cheapest and then we'll go up and compare all of those. The cheapest will probably be the AV-1, depending of course on the used market and the country you're living in, but at least here in Germany the AV-1s are most of the time pretty affordable. The reason being that they only have one semi-auto mode, which is the Aperture Priority mode. As you can see, there is this mode dial here, but there aren't any shutter speeds besides the 1/60th of a second flash sync speed, which is a manual speed. Other than that, you only have this A mode and a bulb mode. The A mode means it's aperture priority. You set the lens to one aperture that you choose, and the camera will choose the shutter speed for you. That's why it's called aperture priority. The camera prioritizes your choice of aperture and chooses a shutter speed. There is no option to choose the shutter speed manually, which is why this camera is a little cheaper than the other ones. But if you just want a Canon A series camera and you don't need manual shutter speed adjustment, this is a very good option for you. Up the tier is the newest from the line. It's the AL-1. The AL-1, as you can see, has some manual shutter speed adjustment. And it also has the same aperture priority mode like the AV-1. So you can either set this camera to A and then choose the aperture manually on the lens, and the camera will suggest and use a shutter speed, or in addition to that, you can also choose some shutter speeds, mainly fast ones, starting from a 1/1000th of a second down to a 1/15th of a second. It's a half manual camera, I would say, because usually if you can choose shutter speeds, you would also have slower shutter speeds than that. But most of the time, if you're shooting handheld and don't use a tripod, that's sufficient manual mode with this camera, as well as an aperture priority mode on this camera. Another little gimmick is the quick focusing aid in this camera. The camera will show you with a LED when the subject you have focused on is in focus, which can be helpful for people with glasses and bad vision, as I've been told. So a big problem with this AL-1, even more so than with the other A-series cameras, is the notoriously breaking battery door. As you see, mine also has a broken battery door. We are working on a replacement part, but for now you will have to keep your eyes open to find one with a working battery door. It uses the AAA batteries, which is also cool. so you don't need special batteries for the AL-1, but keep in mind that the battery doors are broken often. If we one-up the game, we land with the AT-1, which most of the time will be a little more expensive than the AL-1, but not as expensive as the AE-1. The AT-1 is already very, very similar to the very popular AE-1, as you can see. It also, like the AE-1, features a full shutter speed dial with all the shutter speeds from the fast 1/1000th of a second down to even a 2-second slow shutter speed and a bulb mode. This camera is gives you two modes to choose from. Either you can shoot it manually, like I said, you choose the aperture on the lens and choose the shutter speed on the camera, or so that's it basically for the AT-1. AT-1 is a full manual camera, only manual shutter speeds, manual aperture. So if you're a purist and don't need any auto modes on your camera, the AT-1 is a great camera. Also keep in mind that with the AT-1, the AE-1 and the A1, they all have the same battery door design. Battery doors also break. Good thing is we offer replacement battery doors in our store. I'll leave the link for our store in the description below. If you have a broken battery door, you can replace it yourself using our manual and our replacement part. Now let's come to the most popular of the line, the AE-1, probably the most sold film SLR ever made. It's very similar to the AT-1. It also has the full shutter speed dial with slow and fast shutter speeds that you manually can choose, as well as uses the same lenses. The upgrade from the AT-1 with the AE-1 is that I can also use the A mode on the lens. So if I set the lens to the A mode, I can shoot the camera in shutter speed priority now. So it's basically the opposite of the AV-1. The AV-1 is a aperture priority only camera. The AE-1 has a shutter speed priority mode, which means, as it says, I choose the shutter speed manually and the camera chooses the aperture automatically. That's why it's called shutter speed priority. I can also shoot the AE-1 in a full manual mode like the AT-1, meaning I choose the shutter speed as well as the aperture full manual mode. Now, there is also a sixth camera, which is a slight variation of the AE-1. It's called the AE-1 Program. You can see and recognize it by the green program lettering below the AE-1 logo. The AE-1 Program has a third mode. In addition to the full manual mode and the shutter speed priority mode, it also has a program mode. For it to function, you just choose like an additional mode, which is located on the shutter speed dial on the AE-1 Program, which is called just Program. What it does is it's a full auto mode, meaning you set the aperture to A mode and you set the camera to program mode, and then the camera chooses the aperture and the shutter speed for you, full auto mode on the AE-1 Program. Now, the AE-1 Program is already pretty close to the A1. Like the AE-1 Program, the A1, which is the most expensive in the line and the camera with the most functionality, you mostly will recognize it by its black color. While the AE-1 is always silver, the A1 is always black, which was chosen to differentiate it a little from the cheaper models. The A1 has some added functionality like additional self-timer speeds, a double exposure lever, and a exposure compensation dial. Mainly it's a AE-1 program, but with added aperture priority mode. So you can see the A1 as like the combination of the functions of all of those cameras. Means you have a shutter speed priority, set the lens to the green A. Let me change lenses here quickly. So I attached lens. So now I have three options to choose from. With this camera I can set the lens to the A and choose the shutter speed, which would let me shoot it in shutter speed priority mode. I can set the shutter speed to the P program mode. Now it's a full auto camera, or I switch to the AV here, and then I could even choose the aperture here from the little lever here. And it also allows me to shoot in aperture priority like that. So now I choose the aperture here, and inside the viewfinder you would see that the camera proposes me to, or gives me a corresponding shutter speed. So full auto mode as well as shutter speed priority and aperture priority on the A1, which is the most expensive of those. But if you want a more pro body, this is the one. There's just, if you even want to step up from this one, there is also the F-Line series of cameras, which I won't cover in this video. That's it for today. If you have any questions or if I missed something, please leave me a comment in the comment section below. If you want to support our shop and need some accessories, new light seals or batteries for your camera, check the link in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.